Hello everyone. Welcome to your weekly forecast for Monday, April 12th through Sunday, April 18th. There are quite a few major aspects this week. Most of them are from Aries and just Gemini, but the majority of them are all from planets in Aries. Okay, on Monday the 12th we have Venus square Pluto. Tuesday the 13th, Sun sextile Mars. Thursday the 15th, Sun sextile Jupiter. Friday the 16th, Sun square Pluto. And Saturday the 17th, we have Mars trine Jupiter, Mercury sextile Jupiter, and Mercury square Pluto. So, like I said, the majority of these are actually coming from Aries. So we'll start with Aries right now. And happy birthday to those of you with a birthday this week. I mean, there's so many aspects from the planets right now. Sun, Venus, and Mercury are all in Aries, okay, in your first house. So they are creating a square right now, okay. On Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries squares Pluto, transiting in your 10th house of Capricorn, okay. So Venus is in your first house still. On Friday the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your first house also squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 10th house. And then on Saturday the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your first house also squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 10th house of career. Okay, your career, your livelihood, how you're known by reputation, professionally or even personally. It's the kind of work that you do, okay? And Pluto actually just went retrograde here. Let's see. I'm sorry. We'll be going retrograde here on the 27th. So there's still something going on within your career here. You're making a few possible adjustments. If you are self-employed, you're making a few changes in how you represent yourself, possibly. Even contact with new clients. Maybe you have new rules or whatever, or a new way of doing business in the future, from now and in the future, with future clients, you know, that you think will work a lot better than whatever you had in the past. If you work for someone else, this just seems to be an awful lot of contact with someone who is in a position to, you know, grant all your requests for whatever you want done within your career or your job, or you may be in touch more with, you know, your company, anyone higher up in your company. So it just looks like that's all that's going on right now, is you are possibly even trying to gain more control over what happens within your career, which makes sense, right? In regards to your company, or a mentor, or a boss even. You're trying to gain control from them, okay? On Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your first house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your third house. So very nice sextile. Having Mars in your third house is where a lot of action is going on right now from you. Your third house is your everyday life, your neighbor, your neighborhood, your neighbors, okay? Your siblings, cousins, but it's like your normal everyday life, the courses or the places you would go throughout the normal course of the day, okay? It's also a huge communication and travel house. So if you were actually trying to do one of these things, especially travel, it looks like you're able to at least make plans or some kind of arrangement. Could be with relatives. Maybe you're trying to get together with them, or you are going to visit them, or they are coming to visit you. But it's also a good communication day. You may be having a conversation with someone. Any of the people that I just mentioned there, your neighbors, siblings, whatever. anyone in your immediate area, but you could also be writing something right now, mailing a letter, a very important letter that is very pretty much clear and precise to the point. Whatever it is, it's well written. Whatever kind of communication that you have on this day, you're expressing exactly what you wanted to say. Okay, you're expressing yourself in such a way that people clearly understand you. Okay, on Thursday the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your first house, sextiles Jupiter transiting in Aquarius in your 11th house of friends and sociability. It's the most sociable house in your horoscope. These are your friends and acquaintances, the places where you would normally go to hang out. You may actually be adding to your circle of friends right now. Having Jupiter here for as long as it's going to be does indicate that your range of friends, your group of friends is expanding. And this could be one of those days where you either make a new friend, especially while socializing, even online, okay? Or are joining some kind of organization that you wanted to belong to, or any kind of friend that you have in your life right now, acquaintance, new friend, old friend, could be beneficial to you for some reason or other on this day. Okay, on Saturday here, we have Mars, Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 3rd house trines Jupiter transiting in your 11th house of Aquarius. It's a very nice, again, we're back to very nice communications and contact with people socially. You know, you could be making plans to travel with your friends right now or attend some kind of event that's coming up. It looks like you may have more than one of those things occurring within your life this year. Wanting to, I guess, possibly make up for lost time, not being able to go out all last year pretty much. Even though there are still restrictions right now, there are still some places where you can go and still do what you used to do. You just have to take precautions. So, it just looks like you are bringing about some kind of possible dream or goal that you have been trying to reach. You could be getting help from your relatives, your cousins, your siblings, something like that. But it's a very nice trine from your everyday life, the people in your neighborhood, to your house of dreams, hopes, and wishes. So somebody there is really trying to help you or do something wonderful for you. On the very same day, okay, Mercury and Aries in your 1st house, sextiles that Jupiter again in Aquarius in your 11th house. So you are really actively seeking some kind of either position within an organization. You have formed your own group, rather than join one, you've just decided to form your own. And it's expanding, it's becoming larger. There are people very interested in it. But you're it's yours. It's something that you have created. It's just an awful lot of activity right now going on with your friends and any kind of organization that you belong to. Okay, for Taurus, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 12th house squares Pluto transiting in your 9th house of Capricorn. And on Friday the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 12th house also squares Pluto transiting in your 9th house of Capricorn. And on Saturday the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 12th house also squares Pluto transiting in your 9th house. Okay, so you've got these planets in your 12th house in Aries, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. They're about ready to move into your 1st house, so they're maybe tying up everything, whatever it was you were doing while these planets were here in your 12th house. 12th house is the house of secrets, the house of actions taken by you or someone else behind the scenes. It's making plans that you will possibly put into effect whenever these planets move into your 1st house. Okay, so you're having this square from all three of these planets through this week, okay, to your ninth house of your opinions, your philosophy on life, your religious beliefs, spirituality, how you seriously more or less feel about anything. I mean, this house covers many, many things, but I'm going to have to say that that's probably what's going on here right now. Is, first of all, having Pluto here has either gradually changed all of these things I just said, or one significant event, okay, in your life just made you wake up and go, that's it. You know, you had an epiphany where you decided that now you feel this way. You've changed your mind completely, the exact opposite of what you used to believe or think, okay? So there's something, you know, going on, let's say, behind the scenes, that while you are doing all these secret actions or even checking into things, having Mercury in the 12th house sometimes brings out the investigator in people, and they start to ask questions in a roundabout way. It's not necessarily always secret, but they investigate a little bit more. So you may be just changing your opinions, that's all, and changing your mind, you know, which that's what it will eventually lead to, is changing your mind about something. Could be some kind of decision that you've made, or some kind of like stance or whatever that you've taken, okay? On Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 12th house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your second house. So having Mars in your second house of income, you are the natural ruler of the second house, okay? Governs possessions, things that you own, things that are valuable, and even your own values, personal values. But having Mars here makes you want to increase this area, makes you want to increase your possessions, and especially your money. So you could be doing something behind the scenes with, you know, the Sun in your 12th house and everything, and that does help to increase your income or your possessions. So you may have purchased something, could be a pretty big deal. Mars has been here since last month, so it's been here for a while, so it's not like this happened overnight, but it could have been something that you've had your eye on or wanted to purchase all along. So it's not like one of those whims or something, so you really checked out whatever it is that you may be buying. You could also just simply be on an increase of money, okay? We'll get to that in a minute, but it could be a raise or something. So you could be pulled aside right now by your employer, or even if you're self-employed, a client. You could get a very prestigious client right now that pays you a lot more than you've made in the past. And even if you don't work at all, there's still something going on here where you have more money coming in. Okay, on Thursday, the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 12th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 10th house of career and livelihood, okay? It's your personal and professional reputation. It's how people speak about you publicly. It is how you're known, okay? But it's your career, house of career and status, though. So even if you don't work, you are still in the public eye for some reason or other. Saturn is also transiting here at the same time, and this usually denotes some kind of promotion or an elevated status, okay? And personally, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be professionally. So that, you know, continues here. I would have to say that if you haven't had a promotion already, it would come around this time. You have, let's see here, on Saturday, okay? Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your second house trines this Jupiter transiting in Aquarius in your 10th house. So we've got the money house and we've got the house of career. So I would definitely have to say that you are getting some kind of a really a big raise or a big bonus of some kind, even if it isn't monetary. It's something, it could be, you know, pretty big, you know, whatever. Something's going on here. On the very same day, Mercury in Aries in your 12th house also sextiles Jupiter in your 10th house of career. So maybe you're not actually receiving it on this day, but it is going on behind the scenes, okay? You're in discussions with your employer, a higher up. If you're self-employed, a new prestigious client, or if you're retired or you don't work at all, there's still something that you are on the receiving end of, something pretty nice. If you're retired, maybe there is some new benefit or other that you're getting, but you should still have some kind of really nice, prestigious whatever happen to you. Possibly even maybe be receiving an award of some kind. But I think money has a lot to do with this, though, too. Maybe you've won money even, or maybe you are, again, receiving some kind of an award. Okay, for Gemini, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 11th house squares Pluto transiting in Capricorn in your 8th house. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 11th house also squares Pluto in your 8th house of Capricorn. And on Saturday the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 11th house also squares Pluto, transiting in your 8th house of Capricorn. So you have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in your 11th house of friends and fun and going out to places where you would normally go. It's your most sociable house. It's where you would normally go to hang out. It's clubs, bars, whatever, any kind of organization that you belong to. And it's also the house of dreams, hopes, and wishes. So this is very active right now. Even if you're not physically going out, you are still able to socialize online. And these three planets in your 11th house are creating this square to Pluto in your 8th house of other people's resources and money. And all that kind of looks like to me is maybe you aren't able to do a lot of the things that you would like to do because you just don't have the money to do whatever. If you are out socializing, maybe you can't afford to keep doing this or attend all of the things that you would like to attend or do. That's all really. Or there could also be that you're dealing with someone who you loaned money to, or anything that you own, okay? Even equipment. I usually say equipment or something like that to get some kind of tangible whatever on it. Could be clothing, whatever, you know. So, or someone could keep asking to borrow something or other from you, one of your friends. And it could even be an acquaintance that you don't even know that well who would like to borrow something of yours, and sometimes that is also your time. They may want you to do something for them, or they may want you to help or be part of something, and it doesn't look like you're enthusiastic about that. You really don't want to be part of it. Okay, on Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 11th house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your 1st house. And this is a very nice aspect for meeting people or being with friends, or meeting new people even that help to like bring out the best of your personality, the better side of having Mars in your 1st house, okay? They help you to, they give you strength more or less to continue on a certain path that maybe you were, you know, kind of leery about, not sure if that's the path you should take or whatever. And all they're going to do is more or less like reaffirm that, yeah, you should be doing whatever it is that you were planning on doing. On Thursday, the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 11th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 9th house. And okay, on Saturday, the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 1st house trines Jupiter in your 9th house of Aquarius, where Aquarius is transiting right now. And also on the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 11th house sextiles that Jupiter, transiting in your 9th house of Aquarius. So you've got a trine from your first house, Mars, where Mars is right now in Gemini, to the 9th house. And then you've got these really nice sextiles from these planets in Aries from your 11th house to your 9th house. Right now you have Jupiter and Saturn transiting in your 9th house of long distance travel and communications, media and publishing, higher learning, legal matters, foreign anything, foreign people, people who live in another country, people from a completely different background than yours, all kinds of things. But this is where your luck is right now, having Jupiter here. So you're possibly making some kind of contact with someone who is possibly from another country or another part of the world, or they are in some kind of media field. You know, publishing could be anything. More than likely it's online. It could be a newspaper, magazine, or just any kind of a podcast even. In fact, maybe you are getting some help possibly with something like this. Maybe you have gathered friends from your 11th house, these planets in Aries. You might have actually joined some kind of organization that is more of like you have more in common. Your group of people in this organization all have one thing in common, and maybe you are all banding together to form some kind of a group that, that does reach out to the public in some way or other. Okay? Let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, sorry. Okay, for Cancer, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 10th house squares Pluto, transiting in your 7th house of Capricorn. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 10th house also squares Pluto, transiting in your 7th house of Capricorn. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 10th house squares Pluto, transiting in your 7th house of Capricorn. So you have all these really nice planets in your 10th house of your career and your public life. How you're known by reputation, personally and professionally. How people speak about you publicly. So you are more or less in the spotlight, especially around that new moon that we had like on the 11th. Okay. You know, something or other could have occurred in public in regards to you, even if you were just hearing stuff about yourself, or people are asking about you, wondering where you are, where you've been. So these squares to your 7th house of close relationships and partnerships, which are romantic or business or just close friends. Just means that maybe right now you're in the mood to follow your career or do more, well, you're more concerned with your job right now. And your close relationship is a little bit on the back burners in a way, or comes second right now. And that could be where the squares are. It's just that maybe there's a minor complaint. I really don't see anything too big going on here about you spending maybe too much time at work or on your job, or even looking for another job or something like that, and it possibly just getting in the way of maybe one of your close relationships. On Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 10th house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your, let's see here, 12th house. Okay, so sorry. So you have Mars in your 12th house of Gemini. It's about ready to move into your first house on, I think it's the 23rd. Okay. So while Mars was here since last month, okay, you may have been planning some kind of big move, or a bunch of little ones, but you've been making plans behind the scenes. having Mars in your 12th house is taking actions in secret. This is the house of secrets, okay? Sometimes you can find out that, you know, actions taken behind the scenes or in secret by you or someone else. So you could actually kind of suspect at this time that maybe something has been going on behind your back. And when Mars moves into your first house is when you will more or less take care of it. Maybe you're not even letting anyone know that you know something or other that's going on. Or you could actually, there's nothing like that going on, but you could be aware of some kind of secret that's pretty big and may affect an awful lot of people. Just because the sun and everything is in your 10th house of career right now, it could actually be affecting you more than anyone. Maybe you are possibly getting some kind of either new job or a completely new position in the current company that you work for. If you are self-employed, you would be more or less courting, let's say, like a new client, and more than likely be gaining them as a client. Whatever, you may actually just be making some kind of changes or whatever to your career that you're not really letting other people know about. So you could be looking for a completely new job altogether, okay? But it's nobody's business, right? So you do these things in secret. In fact, you could have actually had like interviews with other companies or whatever right now, or maybe you have always worked for other people, but you are now beginning your own business. Okay, so that's the big secret, is you're going into business for yourself. Okay, on Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 10th house sextiles Mars. I'm sorry, I just did that one. Sorry about that. We're back to Thursday, the 15th. Okay, the Sun in Aries in your 12th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 8th house. Okay, and on Saturday, the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 12th house also trines Jupiter in your 8th house of Aquarius. And on the same day, on the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 10th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 8th house. So you've got all these really nice, you've got trine from your 12th house, okay, Mars in Gemini, to Jupiter in your 8th house, which kind of brings about some kind of secret benefit, okay, behind the scenes, possibly be given, you know, your 8th house is a money house. It's other people's resources and money. Saturn's also here right now, okay, but this is the house of legacies and inheritances, refunds, legal settlements, insurance payouts. You know, you could be on the receiving end of some kind of money coming in, but right now it's a secret. Okay? It really could affect your status, though, when we have this, you know, this Mercury in your 10th house in Aries sextiling Jupiter here. Okay? And the Sun also in Aries in your 10th house sextiling Jupiter here. So whatever it is, it does affect your career in some way, or your status, your professional or social status. But you are either being given money or winning possibly money, or you are having access to someone else's resources that are, it's a pretty big deal, whatever it is that they're letting you have or letting you use, or actually just giving to you. So, for Leo, oops. Okay, so on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 9th house squares Pluto transiting in Capricorn in your 6th house. So, also, on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 9th house also squares Pluto transiting in your 6th house of Capricorn. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 9th house squares Pluto transiting in your 6th house of Capricorn. So you have the Sun, Venus, and Mercury at one point or other in this week in your 9th house squaring the Pluto in your 6th house of the workplace. the kind of work that you do, your co-workers, your work schedule, the very building where you work, even if you're working from home. Even if you don't work at all, there's still something going on here. This is the house of service to others. Also the house of health, but right now, to me, it looks like it has to do with work. Okay, and the ninth house is the house of many things, and one of them is higher learning. And I have mentioned this in the past, that you may possibly feel that, especially when planets are here, you know, Mars was here for a while, awfully long time last year in Aries. So maybe at that time you learned something, or you already knew how to do whatever. You have maybe special knowledge in regards to the kind of work that you do, that you are trying to bring your expertise or even your experience to the workplace. And sometimes it's not always going well there. There's obviously somebody in the workplace, either it's a co-worker, usually there's always a co-worker there that has been there maybe a little bit longer than everyone else, but not necessarily enough to have that much clout, however they think they do. And they tend to just take over the place. You know, they do whatever it is they want to do, and you're supposed to all fall in into place, or you know, in line. Okay. And this is just one of those times where I think you are actually given the opportunity to show that you are the one that has the knowledge or the expertise in order to do a certain job wherever it is that you work, okay? Or do a job that you've all been doing, but do it a certain way. How about the correct way? That's always the best way, right? However, that doesn't always happen. But I think that's what's actually going on here, okay? On Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 9th house sextiles Mars, transiting Gemini in your 11th house, which is very nice, actually, okay? Having Mars in your 11th house of sociability. It's going out with your friends or hanging out where you would normally go to hang out. It's making new friends. Joining any kind of group or organization. It's also the house of your dreams, hopes, and wishes. So Mars has been here since last month, so you've been pretty active in this area. Okay, even if you have not been physically going out, you're a little bit more in touch lately than you normally are with your friends. Or you are socializing online, which is a lot of people are doing that right now. So you've made, you know, more than likely some new friends. Your 9th house is very nice sextile to your 9th house. Your 9th house is the house of foreigners, people who come from another part of the world, or, excuse me, who just live at a distance from you or have a completely different background than you, which makes them foreign to you. Okay, you have a different culture, possibly come from a different culture. But one of these, you know, I believe you've made a new friend in this area. They could also be a brainiac of some kind, you know, a real, I don't want to say scholar, but they could actually be really smart and have knowledge that you're interested in. You have the same interests and stuff like that. But some of this interest sometimes is a little bit, not necessarily esoteric, just a little different than what everyone else is usually interested in. Okay, on Thursday, the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 9th house, sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 7th house. Okay, and on Saturday, the 17th, okay, Mars in Gemini in your 11th house trines that Jupiter in Aquarius in your 7th house. And on the very same day, Mercury in Aries in your 9th house sextiles that Jupiter again in your 7th house of Aquarius. So, you know, your 7th house is your house of close relationships and partnerships, business, romantic, or just anyone you're close with. And, you know, usually this transit, Saturn's also here at the same time, but having Jupiter here usually brings about the opportunity for like a close relationship such as engagement or marriage or something. So if you haven't met anyone like that, you know, up until now, this could be the time when you actually do. Okay, you're socializing a little more from that Mars in your 11th house, and it's creating a trine to your 7th house of partnerships. So I would have to say that you've come across someone you feel is worthy of your attention or affection. Okay, the fact that you have this nice sextile from the Sun and Mercury in your 9th house from Aries just means that they're not stupid. Okay, they're actually they can hold their own even in a conversation, or they could possibly even just have the same kind of background as you, and that's what the rapport is. But they understand you because you both have the same knowledge or whatever. You could possibly have even gone to the same school, but it looks like they're smart. They're a smart person. Okay, so and you like that rather than, I mean, who doesn't? Who would deliberately take up with someone that they thought was dumb, right? So for Virgo, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 8th house squares Pluto transiting in your 5th house of Capricorn. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 8th house also squares Pluto transiting in Capricorn in your 5th house. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 8th house also squares that Pluto transiting in your 5th house of Capricorn. So this week, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, at one point or other, squares from your 8th house of other people's resources and money to your 5th house of romance, where you have Pluto transiting here. Romance and creativity and fun, speculation, gambling, that's a point right here that you might have this urge to take up right now, take some kind of gamble. That whatever it would be to win money or something, that kind of speculation. A lot of times the speculation is speculating on yourself, taking a chance on yourself. That could be one thing, but you could also do that in romance too. You could actually give somebody the time of day that you normally wouldn't. Maybe go out with someone who you would not normally. I mean, even just for friends, you know, it could start off as just as friends. If you are already involved with someone, you may want to do something fun with them, or could be to do something romantic. But the square just means that you have to come up with the money to do that. You know, the resources in order to do all of these things, to speculate, you know, on money, gambling of some kind, or speculate on yourself or a relationship or fun or something like that. That's all that means. But these will pass. These are just squares, you know. You can work around them. Maybe you could just put whatever off till another time. Okay? On Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 8th house sextiles Mars transiting Gemini in your 10th house of career and professional and personal status, how you're known by reputation. Having Mars here means that you are after the spotlight right now. The 10th house is your most public house, so this is media seeking or attention seeking. Sometimes having Mars here means that you're about ready to receive some kind of an award. You're about to be celebrated for some kind of achievement. Even it doesn't have to be professional, it could be personal. And one of those achievements could be that people just like you, you know, which is actually pretty good. That's hard to find. A lot of people, you know, a large group of people, whatever, willing to say a lot of nice things about you. Okay, however, if you were looking for some kind of promotion possibly within your current job, or a completely new position, completely new business. Even if you don't work at all, there's still, you know, having Mars in the 10th house is a real attention getter. So even if you're not trying to grab the spotlight right now, you're still in it. Okay? On Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 8th house sextiles. I'm sorry. That's what I just did. I keep doing that. Okay, sorry about that. Because Thursday the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 8th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in your 6th house of Aquarius. And on Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 10th house trines Jupiter, transiting in your 6th house of Aquarius. And on the very same day, okay, Mercury in Aries in your 8th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 6th house. So we've got your 10th house of career, okay, your 8th house of other people's resources and money. Creating these, we've got a trine from your 10th house Mars, transit Mars, okay, and then these sextiles from 8th house Aries to your job, the kind of work that you do. This is what the 6th house is, okay. Saturn's here at the same time, kind of evens out for right now, but having Jupiter here does bring about usually a new person, a new co-worker possibly coming into your company. They do a lot of good for you and your co-workers, a lot of good for the job. But, you know, it looks like you are the one that's actually changing something or other, wherever it is that you work. This is the kind of work that you do, 6th house. Okay, co-workers, your schedule, any kind of schedule that you have there, the very place, the building that you work in, or even if you're working from home. This is also the house of health and service to others, but because you have Mars in your 10th house of career right now, I would have to say that this is about work. It looks to me like you're getting better benefits. The 8th house where you have Aries is the house of insurance, legal matters, insurance payouts, legal payouts, refunds of any kind, tax refunds, taxes, period, credit, bank accounts. It's money coming to you through means other than earning it. Okay, but in this case it looks like you are getting some kind of perk or benefit from work. Okay, which may have been a long time coming. You probably should have had it a while ago. Okay, so even if you're not receiving it on these exact days, it should be in the works. Okay, for Libra, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 7th house squares Pluto, transiting in your 4th house of Capricorn. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 7th house also squares Pluto, transiting in your 4th house of Capricorn. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 4th house. So you have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in your opposite sign of Aries in your 7th house of close relationships, partnerships, okay, business, romantic, or a close friend. Okay, squaring your home, your 4th house of home, where you have Pluto transiting in Capricorn right now. So there's lots of changes have gone on in your personal life, in your home life, your family. Okay, so that just continues right now. This is just a minor square. It's almost like a close friend or your romantic partner is maybe not getting along with your family, or they're not actually fitting in with your home life right now. If you have children, maybe there's a little bit of whatever is not working out there. You know, it just could be anything. It's just a square. It's not a very big deal, but it just seems like maybe your family doesn't even like this person. Okay. On Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 7th house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your 9th house. So 9th house is travel, big travel house, okay? Big communication house, long distance, and even long distance travel. It's the house of education, higher learning, universities, things like that. Big publishing, media house, legal matters, you know, that could actually be something that's going on right now. The 7th house where you have Aries is another kind of legal house. It's lawyers and contracts, things like that. You could be trying to get something together, you know, or begin or end some kind of legal matter. And this seems to help ensure that there's some kind of activity. It's finally moving forward. Somebody's finally doing something. Having Mars here in your 9th house, okay, brings about action of some kind. It could also mean, though, as far as travel goes, that you are doing some kind of traveling. And if not, this could be long-distance communication, talking to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. This could be somebody from your past, someone from your childhood that you grew up with. On Thursday the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 7th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 5th house. And on Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 9th house trines Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 5th house. And on the very same day, Mercury in Aries in your 7th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 5th house of romance. Okay, romance and fun and creativity and children, games, sports, the arts, drama, film, you know, just doing fun things. So you have these very nice aspects going on right now. As far as this trine from your 9th house where Saturn's transiting right now to your 5th, maybe you are making some kind of long distance travel plans with your children, romantic partner. As far as anything legal goes, this could be in regards to, you know, back to your 9th house legal matters, and this very nice trine. If you are involved in any kind of creative project right now, especially with these very nice sextiles to your 7th house, from your 7th house to your 5th house, maybe you're getting it all on paper. Who owns what? You know, this creative project could be something that you've written or whatever it is. You know, it's do you own it? Do you jointly own it with someone else or whatever? And as far as children goes, if you are adopting or just looking into something in regards to your child, you're, I guess, asking questions about any kind of legal concerns that you may have surrounding your child and possibly, let's say, playing sports or taking part in something or other that you just need to know a little bit more about to make sure that it's safe. Okay, for Scorpio, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 6th house squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 3rd house. And on Friday the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 6th house squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 3rd house. And on Saturday the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 6th house also squares Pluto, transiting in your 3rd house of Capricorn. So the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in your 6th house of the workplace, your co-workers, the kind of work that you do, your schedule at work, okay? It's also the house of service to others and your house of health, okay? It makes this square to your 3rd house where you have Pluto. Okay, your 3rd house is your everyday life, and so is pretty much your 6th house, okay? So there's changes possibly going on here. Having Pluto in your 3rd house of your neighborhood and your neighbors means that gradually maybe your neighborhood has changed in some way. You know, that whatever, it could look completely different than it did when you first moved in. All kinds of different things here, but it's not like it's just a square. It could be that possibly, okay, as far as service to other goes in the 6th house, okay, maybe you have some kind of arrangement with a neighbor or your siblings or a cousin or something like that, any kind of relative actually for now, that you do something for them and they do something for you. It's a favor, but it works out. It's like 50-50 because out of necessity you both need help with something, so you're helping one another. Okay, so you could be wanting to change that right now, change that arrangement in some way or other. Okay, it's just a square. Okay, so you can work around it. As far as the workplace goes, same thing. Your schedule could be changing right now at work. Maybe you feel it's beyond your control. You didn't ask for it. You don't like it. Maybe you're negotiating with another coworker to changing your schedule or even the kind of work that you do, or doing this in like a different way, in some way or other. In fact, a lot of this could have come up around the new moon of the 11th, which was Sunday before this, for the 12th. Okay, so just changes possibly going on within the workplace. Okay. On Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 6th house sextiles Mars, transiting in your 8th house of Gemini. So your 8th house is other people's resources and money. Okay. Having Mars here sometimes means that you're going after money that's owed you. You know, this is the house of shared resources and shared debt, though, too. But it is the house of legacies and inheritances, insurance payouts, and legal settlements. Just having Mars here makes us very active right now. Like since last month, that's how long Mars has been here. Maybe you are trying to, at work, you're trying to increase your benefits, you know, or get even, this normally isn't the house of like a pay raise or anything like that, but it's some kind of, you know, something, possibly a bonus or other that's coming to you through work, through the work that you've done. Not just the workplace, the work that you do there, but previous work that you've done. Or if somebody owes you money for, again, we're back to the house of service, you know, for something that you've done for them that was like a pretty big deal, and normally anyone else would be expected to be compensated for it. So it could be something like that. On Thursday, the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 6th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 4th house. And on Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 8th house trines Jupiter, transiting in your 4th house of Aquarius. And on the very same day, Mercury in Aries in your 6th house also sextiles Jupiter, transiting in your 4th house of Aquarius. So you've got very nice trine from your 8th house, where you have Mars transiting right now in Gemini, to your 4th house of your home life, personal life, your family, the people you live with. If it isn't family, it may be a roommate or something like that. It's your actual home and the property surrounding it. It's wherever you live. It's also your past, your childhood, and your personal life, more or less. And this very nice sextile from your 6th house of work. The workplace work, the kind of work that you do. Having Jupiter here right now and also Saturn at the same time means that you are expanding your home in some way or other. Right now it could be possibly just due to the fact that you're working out of your home. Maybe you have been all along, but right now looks like that's something that's going to continue. So you are altering your home in some way to make more room. But it looks like you are either taking work home, or there's you know, something that you have done possibly previously that maybe you're even being compensated for now with this Mars in the 8th house of other people's resources and whatever, but it's money. It's a money house, and you've got a nice trine to your 4th house. So somebody could even give you something right now for your home. It might be a pretty big deal, but it's a really nice addition to your home. Or if it doesn't have anything to do with your home, it's personal. Something in your personal life, but it's something possibly that you've always wanted. Could be like a pretty big deal to you. So for Sagittarius, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 5th house squares Pluto transiting in Capricorn in your 2nd house. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 5th house also squares Pluto transiting in Capricorn in your 2nd house. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 5th house squares Pluto transiting in your 2nd house of Capricorn. So you have Sun, Venus, and Mercury in Aries in your 5th house of fun, romance, creativity, children, sports, games of any kind, drama, art, anything. Which is like really, it's not bad, okay, having these squares, okay, from your 5th house to your 2nd house where you have Pluto and Capricorn, your 2nd house of income. Okay, so you may be in the mood to do like all these fun things, and maybe have been spending too much money, or have decided to cut back a little bit. Not maybe you haven't been doing all these things, but you are like just cutting back financially. Okay, either you don't have the money to do whatever, or you just don't want to spend the money to do a lot of these things. So it looks to me like it's like a 50-50 thing, because it's only a square. So I think that maybe you are able to do fun things, just not everything you want to do, or not spend so much money doing all of these things. Okay, on Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 5th house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your 7th house. So your 7th house is your house of close relationships. Business, romantic, or any friend that you're close with. So Mars has been here since last month, and you may have noticed a little bit of maybe a little bit more aggression towards you, or more whatever from someone close to you trying to get you to pin you down and get you to commit to something or other. So that's kind of like what this is with the Sun in your 5th house of romance, as far as close relationships, romantic go. It's a sextile though, so it looks like, you know, Mars has been here for a while, so you've been able to ward off, you know, someone's advances. Not even just romantic. This could be a business partner trying to get you to do business the way they want it done. Just anything. Anyone who's trying to get you to do something, okay, no matter what it is. This sextile, you know, helps you to, again, you know, defend yourself more or less, or tell these people no, or in such a way that they're not offended by it. Okay, on Thursday, the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 5th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 3rd house. Okay, and on Saturday, the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 7th house trines Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 3rd house. And on the very same day, Mercury in your 5th house of Aries sextiles Jupiter, transiting your 3rd house of Aquarius. So all kinds of nice things going on here. You know, the 3rd house is a travel house, a communication house. It's also like your everyday life, pretty much. You know, the places you would normally go throughout the course of a day. Okay, it's your neighbors, your neighborhood, your relatives, your cousins, your siblings. So very nice trine from your 7th house Gemini, where that Mars is right now. it almost looks like if you are involved in any kind of business partnership, that it's possibly something that is going on within your own immediate area. You're getting help from a partner in regards to, let's say, like a business. If you are involved in any kind of media, especially anything on the internet right now, you could make a really nice contract with someone, an arrangement or an agreement, kind of like made under this Mars trine to Jupiter. In a way, means that it's kind of fair. You know, it's not that it's not kind of. A lot of times when Mars is in your 7th house, people who are dealing with you try to get more for themselves and less for you. Okay, but under this aspect, it looks like it's in your favor. It's 50-50, especially since you have nice sextiles from the Sun and Mercury in your 5th house of creativity even. Okay, so you know, something's going on here. Let's say possibly in some kind of collaboration with someone. If anything, if that's not in the works and it is romantic, to me, I always say road trip. You know, having 3rd house is like local travel, overnight travel, weekender, something like that. So could be something like that going on right now. But it's a very nice aspects at that time. Okay, so for Capricorn, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 4th house squares Pluto transiting in your 1st house of Capricorn. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 4th house squares Pluto transiting in your 1st house, okay, of Capricorn. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 4th house squares Pluto in your 1st house. Okay, so you have Sun, Mercury, Venus in your 4th house of your home, the people you live with, your family, your actual physical place where you live and the property surrounding it. It's your past and your childhood. It's your personal life, but it's the people you live with also. So having like all these planets here right now in Aries just means that there's an awful lot of activity going on within your home right now. If you do live with other people, maybe you are wanting to change the living arrangement or change something there. Usually when the Sun and everything is in the 4th house is when people do things like remodel or at least paint, you know, rooms, or they do something. They do fixing up of the home. And right now, you may want things this way. You want it done this way. You don't want it done that way. So that just seems to be what's going on right now. If you have a roommate, maybe you're not, both of you aren't agreeing on what should be done with the place where you live. Okay, on Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 4th house sextiles Mars transiting in your 6th house of Gemini. So having Mars in your 6th house of the workplace and the kind of work that you do, your work schedule, the people that you work with, the actual physical building where you work. Nice sextile here though from your home, okay, from your 4th house of your home. It means that kind of like if you weren't working from home, it looks like you should be now, or you are taking work home, or something is changing in such a way that you are you're doing more work, but it seems like you have an increase in whatever kind of work that you do. Even if you don't work or you're retired, you're still doing something, and it looks like you're doing it out of your home right now. It is in order to make money, and I'll get to that in a minute. So if you're self-employed, you have an increase in your workload. So maybe you have an increase in clients, you know. If you're retired, you're still working on something. Maybe you're building something or other, remodeling something in your home, but you are doing something or other. If it's in regards to your health, 6th house is also the house of health. You should be feeling like a lot more energetic with this planet here, at least feeling like you want to start a new workout, exercising, doing something like that, or at least changing your diet. Okay, on Thursday, the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 4th house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in your 2nd house of Aquarius. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 6th house trines Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 2nd house. And on the same day, Mercury in Aries in your 4th house, sextiles Jupiter, transiting in Aquarius in your 2nd house of income, how you earn your money. Okay, having Jupiter here, at the same time having Saturn here, they're both transiting in this area right now, usually means that there's an increase in income, the way you bring in money. However, it's going out as fast a lot of times as it comes in. So you're spending it, could be because maybe you have to spend it. Saturn here makes you kind of like want to save. Sometimes having Saturn here does dry up your ability to bring in new sources of income. But right now, having Mars in that 6th house does increase all of those things, increases new opportunities to bring in more income. Okay, and the fact that you have these nice sextiles from your 4th house Aries with the Sun and Mercury, to me it looks like you're doing it from your home. So you are have been, since Jupiter and Saturn entered your 2nd house, looking for other ways to bring in income. So it looks like you have succeeded in some way or other. Okay, so for Aquarius, on Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 3rd house squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 12th house. And on Friday, the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 3rd house squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 12th house. And on Saturday, the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 3rd house squares Pluto also, again, okay, in your 12th house of Capricorn. So you have these planets right now in your 3rd house, Sun, Mercury, Venus in Aries, squaring this Pluto, okay, transiting in your 12th house of behind-the-scenes occurrences, behind-the-scenes actions taken by you or someone else. It's your subconscious mind, your dreams. It's the house of charity. You know, it's the house of secrets, though. Pluto's a nice, big secret planet to have here, you know. A square from your 3rd house of your everyday life, your neighborhood, your neighbors, the places where you would normally go throughout the course of a day. Having Mercury here especially, that is the ruler of this house, brings in a lot more communications with people, a lot more conversations by phone or by email, something like that, and even an increase in regular postal mail. So maybe in the course of this week, you may be finding out things in your neighborhood, just talking to people. This is also the house of siblings and cousins. Anyone that you have contact with this week could be telling you things that could possibly be a secret. Maybe they are inadvertently letting you know something they thought you already knew. Whatever, it's not a very big deal because it's a square, you know, so it just looks to me like you are even being told a secret, maybe, that, you know, and it could be about a neighbor, could be about a relative, whatever, but you're not supposed, obviously you're not supposed to say anything. On Tuesday, the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your 3rd house sextiles Mars, transiting in Gemini in your 5th house of fun and creativity and gambling and speculation, romance, children, games of any kind, sports, any kind of fun or amusements. So having Mars here, of course, makes you raring to go to do all of these things. Okay, and a very nice sextile from the Sun in your 3rd house of like short distance travel and trips, overnight trips, weekenders, things like that. I've mentioned this before, that this is a road trip. I'm pretty sure that you are taking. If not, you may be attending something, some kind of sport or whatever that maybe your children or someone else's children are involved in, some kind of game that you're out. You may also be doing some kind of fun thing within your own neighborhood with your neighbors, where you all set up something to do. It could even be like a party, or one big party, one big event maybe that you're going to that is considered fun. On Thursday the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your 3rd house sextiles Jupiter, transiting in your 1st house, okay, of Aquarius. And on Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your 5th house trines Jupiter in your 1st house, okay, of Aquarius. And on the very same day, Mercury in your 3rd house of Aries sextiles Jupiter, transiting in your 1st house of Aquarius. So it looks like you are getting some really, really good news. In fact, it could be that you have won. Maybe you won some kind of local contest. In fact, I would enter one if I were you, especially right now. Actually, all month could have been good, but with these aspects, you have a pretty good choice, a pretty good chance, rather, of winning. And chance is like the key word here, having this Mars in your 5th house and Jupiter in your 1st house, which makes you kind of lucky anyway. Okay, so to take a chance right now would probably be like a really good idea. These very nice sextiles from the Sun and Mercury in your 3rd house makes it local. So that's why I'm saying, you know, if you were going to enter a contest, try to enter a local contest, or enter a contest online. Okay, 3rd house is the internet, among other things. Okay, there's other houses for the internet also, but this is one of them. Okay, so you could win anything, but to me it kind of looks like travel is involved. You know, it's to win some kind of travel. Let's see. Yeah. So, okay, for Pisces. On Monday, April 12th, Venus in Aries in your 2nd house squares Pluto, transiting in Capricorn in your 11th house. And on Friday the 16th, the Sun in Aries in your 2nd house also squares Pluto, transiting in your 11th house of Capricorn. And on Saturday the 17th, Mercury in Aries in your 2nd house squares Pluto, transiting in your 11th house of Capricorn. So you have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in your 2nd house of income and how you earn your money, what you own, your possessions, your valuables, and even your personal values, okay? With a square to Pluto in your 11th house of your friends and acquaintances and any kind of group or organization that you belong to. You've had a lot of activity going on in this 11th house, even now that Saturn and Jupiter have left this area and are in Aquarius in your 12th house. You still have Pluto in your 11th house, which kind of means that your group of friends has changed over so many years. You're attracted to different kinds of people now. Or you have found that your friends that you've known for many, many years have changed in such a way that you don't have all that much in common with them anymore. Or you could be the one that doesn't, that has changed, okay, and doesn't have that much in common with your normal group of friends. So it's just a square from your 2nd house of money. It's a house of money, so you may not want to spend money right now on something that your friends want you to do with them. You could be being asked even for dues of some kind if you belong to some kind of organization, or if you are getting together with a group in some way or other where you have to give money or pay for something ahead of time. You know, if you think it's worth it, then you'll you'll dish it out. If not, you won't be spending money on something like that right now. On Tuesday the 13th, the Sun in Aries in your second house sextiles Mars transiting in Gemini in your fourth house. So having Mars in your fourth house of your home, the people you live with, a roommate or whatever, or your family. It's your actual home where you live and the property surrounding it. It's your past and your childhood and your personal life. So there's a lot of activity going on here, and you may want to remodel, do big things to your home or apartment or wherever it is that you live. Physically, make some kind of change or other, and maybe you've been actually even saving for something like that, because having a nice sextile from your second house of income means that you are going to spend the money to do something like that. You are, it looks like something that you planned for, though. You are buying something new for your home, or just changing it in some way. Either way, it's costing money, but it's a good improvement. Okay, on Thursday the 15th, the Sun in Aries in your second house sextiles Jupiter transiting in Aquarius in your 12th house. And on Saturday the 17th, Mars in Gemini in your fourth house trines Jupiter transiting in your 12th house of Aquarius. And on the very same day, Mercury in your second house of Aries sextiles Jupiter transiting in your 12th house of Aquarius. So we've got very nice trine from your fourth house of your home to your 12th house, okay, where you have Aquarius and Jupiter and even Saturn transiting right now, and also the Sun and Mercury in your second house of money, also sextiling Jupiter, okay, in your 12th house. So maybe you spent a little bit more than you were going to on something for your home or something that you wanted, okay. Having Venus even in your second house in Aries right now does attract things to you, like Venus rolled things like art objects or money or whatever, things that are beautiful. So maybe you bought something that you didn't want someone else to know about, either your partner or just anyone. You might have purchased something. It doesn't necessarily have to be for your home, because having Mars in your fourth house is also your personal life. So it's personal. Maybe you bought yourself something. But all these nice, these sextiles and this trine means that it's okay. It wasn't like a very big deal if you were trying to keep it from someone. You may have even bought it for someone else, and maybe it's a surprise for them. Whatever, but it's a nice purchase, or if you're not buying, you are on the receiving end of something pretty nice, but it's either personal or something for your home. So I hope everyone enjoyed their astrological forecast for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click on the little bell there for notifications. You'll be contacted every time I upload something. Check out my Ask Me a Question. It's in the description below there. There's also a link to my website if you would like to have your personal chart done. And check out my monthly horoscopes. I will see you next week. Goodbye.